Hi, I'm Pat Halpin, and welcome to this special Albany edition of Meet the Leaders. We've been joined by New York State Assemblywoman Kimberly Jean-Pierre. Kimberly, it's great to have you. I should call you Madam Assemblywoman. Since you represent part of my old Assembly district, I have great respect.
Well, thanks for having me, and Happy New Year to you, too.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a different year for the state legislature. The Democrats have taken control of the Senate. There are 6 Democrats representing Long Island from the state Senate. And as you know from your years of being here, it's really all about the majority and the minority.
That's right.
And you got to work together with
That's
the
right.
majority. So talk to me about your priorities.
So it's an exciting. It feels like already it's going to be an exciting year. We've already talked about our priorities, what we're going to be doing the next few weeks. I'm looking forward to, as a new member of the Education Committee, looking forward to making some changes on education on Long Island as we send more money up to Albany, and a lot of our districts get shorthanded in education. So continue that fight.
What about the whole decoupling of the standardized tests with teacher evaluations? It seemed that was a huge distraction from the work that teachers and students need to be doing every day. What are your thoughts about that?
And I think we put a stigma on teachers, and teachers are our children's second parents. You know, as we speak today, my daughter started preschool, or her second day of preschool.
Wow.
And I give total respect to our teachers, and we need to do that in the state government to give them the respect that's due, because they are there with our students and provide them the tools that they need to be our future leaders. And I think as state elected officials, we should be giving them the resources and not putting negative stigma on them.
That's a very interesting point, because I have never met a teacher that isn't for rigorous standards and improved curriculum and making sure that our kids are ready for the world that they're going to be inheriting.
No, and you see our business community, they get it, because what they do is when school opens, they provide all these sales for teachers, because teachers are coming out of pocket and purchasing things for their students because the school lacks the funding to purchase. So not only they're not getting paid well, but they're taking out of their own personal income to provide essentials for our students.
So education is the top priority. What else?
Mental health, looking at our mental health in our schools and our communities to ensure a lot of people are running around with PTSD, especially with what's been happening in our schools across the country with gun violence, and not arming teachers, but ensuring that our schools have the right tools to provide security for their schools and security in our community.
And also to provide the assistance to young people who are struggling.
That's right.
Who, if given the right assistance, the right access to mental health, we could avoid a senseless tragedy.
Right, and I always say we have to look at things holistically, and it's like a 360. If someone has a condition, we should be able to treat that condition and provide the resources to those that provide the treatment. And when they get incarcerated, they go into prison, they come back into this 360 system, and there's no real treatment. You know, we're criminalizing people who need help.
And too many people in our prisons are there because they have serious mental health problems.
Or they go into prison and come back out with the mental health.
So have you given some thought to this, to what appears to be what's going to happen in terms of the legalization of marijuana? A big part of that, if it happens, would be decriminalizing cannabis, but also going through records and expunging records for those who've been incarcerated, perhaps even released, but still have that prison record because of the over-criminalization of things like that?
Right.
What are your thoughts about that?
So we had a public hearing in town of Babylon just a few weeks ago, and we had some, positive response into legalization, but we really need to think it through carefully to make sure that young people have an opportunity to be successful and not criminalizing people, but providing a support system. So when we legalize it, what are the mechanisms that are in place to help people? And this is, again, adult usage, and we need to put that out there that this is adult usage, and making sure that we provide resources for treatment for those who are addicted, and also provide an opportunity for those young people who have been in the system for something that we could have helped internally.
And to your point, look, this is going to be a whole new industry.
Right.
And people say it's going to be, multi-billion-dollar industry in the
Right.
state of New York.
Right.
How do those resources get reinvested in communities where
Right.
the arrests for marijuana,
Right.
and typically those are black and brown
Right.
communities, were disproportionate and did real harm?
Right. And
So how do you reinvest? How do you give people who were formerly incarcerated jobs, for example,
Right.
and training?
So I'm really proud of the sponsor that we have of this legislature, who has made history today and her story today as the new majority leader of the New York State Assembly.
That is Assemblywoman
Crystal Peoples-Stokes
from Buffalo.
And she, in our conference, has really looked at the piece of legislation to ensure that communities who have been impacted by criminalization of marijuana get that revenue back into the community. Let's provide resources to some of our groups in the community, our grassroots, who do so much with so little, to our public schools, again, who do so much, so little, and are in desperate need of funding for not only the criminalization that we find in these black and brown communities, but also for the number of undocumented students who have been placed in these public schools with no resources. So there's a lot that we have to really think about with our public school systems and black and brown communities.
So that's a big agenda.
Yep.
Are you excited?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm excited. I just left the Senate chamber as the swearing in of
To see the first woman ever in the history of the state of New York
It's amazing.
lead the state senate. She also happens to be an African American woman.
That's right.
But this is a day of first
Yep.
in New York State.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot to do, and we always have to. For me, it's always keeping in heart that why we're the reason why we are here, and our constituents. It's 150 of us in the assembly, and our issues can link, but we just have to communicate and talk to each other more, and respect the different cultures, respect the different values, and I think we'll get the job done.
And the regional priorities.
That's right. That's right.
One of the things that struck me, and we'll end, is when I came to the assembly, I looked around in the state assembly. I said, this is got to be one of the most diverse legislative bodies in the state of New York, in the country. And you think about it, in the case of Democrats, we've got people from upstate, downstate, mid-Hudson Valley, very diverse ethnically, culturally, racially, and even with the Republicans as well. And somehow it all comes together with a common set of priorities, and you get things done. You don't see what goes on in Washington happening up here.
No. And
so you're optimistic this is going to be very productive,
Yes.
all about business.
All about business, and all about, we are fighting for our districts, our concerns, and respecting one another, but we all have a job to do. I'm excited for the next 6 months, and I know that I will continue to bring home resources for my district.
And thank you for being such
Our
a great
district.
advocate. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you,
Thanks so
too.
much for coming.
Thank
That's
you.
going to do it for this edition of Meet the Leaders. I'm Pat Halpin. We'll see you next time.